They don't strike when you're vigilant. They strike when you're comfortable, when you've lowered your defenses in the name of kindness, trust, or loyalty. This is their strategy to smile while sharpening the blade behind your back. They agree with you while plotting your downfall. The most dangerous adversaries aren't those who wear armor and carry swords. They walk beside you wearing the mask of a friend, a supporter, even family. The greatest threats don't come crashing through the gates. They lurk inside your walls, silent and unseen. They observe, gather information, and earn your trust only to slowly chip away at your foundation. Betrayal doesn't hit you like a storm. It seeps in like a poison, drop by drop through small betrayals you mistake for accidents or misunderstandings. If you've ever felt the sting of sabotage, the cold shock of betrayal from someone close, you know this truth. You tolerated the wrong person not because you were weak, but because you were decent, because you trusted the code of kindness in a world that doesn't honor it. But here's the hard truth. Decency is a vulnerability in a world that respects power, not kindness. To survive and thrive, you must become unyielding about who you allow near your circle. Power isn't just what you accumulate, it's who you remove. There are 5 destructive behaviors that no strong leader tolerates, not for a moment. Each one is a crack in your armor, seemingly minor but enough to flood your kingdom when ignored. These aren't flaws you forgive, they are alarms you heed. The puppet master. This type doesn't scream or demand. They don't threaten or coerce outright, that would be too obvious. Instead, they manipulate your emotions like a master puppeteer. Guilt, loyalty, sympathy, trust, these are their weapons. Cloaked in charm, they pose as allies, convincing you that their needs are paramount. You won't notice at first. Your plans begin to wobble. You find yourself sacrificing your priorities, making excuses for their failures, defending their toxic patterns. They've rewritten your sense of right and wrong so skillfully that you feel it's your duty to protect them even at your own expense. But manipulation is never accidental. Every calculated guilt trip, every strategic compliment, every carefully timed sob story is designed to erode your independence. These people don't seek power outright, they parasitize yours, feeding on your doubts until they hold the strings. The solution is simple and brutal. The moment you recognize manipulation, you sever ties, no explanations, no second chances. Letting manipulators linger is like welcoming cancer into your body. They learn, adapt, and hide better each time you show mercy. Your power is non-negotiable. Protect it fiercely. The perpetual victim. The perpetual victim wears their pain like armor. Their suffering is currency, a tool for control. They are always the wronged, the misunderstood, the oppressed. But this isn't about healing, it's about captivity. They don't seek freedom, they demand submission. Every conversation revolves around their trauma, their misfortune, their endless hardship. Boundaries are met with accusations of cruelty, selfishness, and abandonment. Their weapon is emotional blackmail, the kind that traps you in a role of caretaker, fighter, and martyr. Improvement is a threat to them because healing means losing control. So they stay stuck, dragging you down with them. When you succeed, they twist your victory into guilt, reminding you how much harder life has been for them, how lucky you are, how you owe them your patience. Your compassion isn't helping, it's enabling. Every hour spent soothing their storms is an hour stolen from your mission. Your future does not belong to those who choose to live in the past. You are not their savior. You are the architect of your own empire, and the perpetual victim is a parasite draining your foundation. Cut ties when necessary, that is not cruelty, it is survival. The silent saboteur. They don't shout. They don't scheme openly. Instead, they wear envy like a shadow that clings and suffocates. Their praise is laced with poison, compliments hide subtle jabs. They watch your rise with hidden resentment, waiting for the moment you falter. Envy is one of the deadliest poisons because it creeps in disguised as concern, as advice, as love. Don't burn out, they warn. Remember where you came from. But behind the words lies a wish for your failure, a hope that your success will crumble. They don't want to win, they just don't want you to. They sow seeds of doubt in your mind, eroding your confidence until hesitation paralyzes you. And hesitation, as you know, is fatal in any quest for greatness. You cannot keep the envious close. No matter how familiar, their resentment will turn into betrayal, whether by leaking secrets, spreading rumors, or simply withholding support when it matters most. Don't argue. Don't attempt to change their nature. Distance yourself ruthlessly, quietly, permanently. The faithless shadow. Loyalty is quiet. It reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in presence, especially when no one's watching. The faithless are silent until their silence becomes destruction. They wait for the winds to shift, then change sides like the tide. They come close, smiling, appearing trustworthy friends, partners, family. They learn your weaknesses, your fears, your plans, only to exploit them when the moment is right. Their betrayal is not sudden. It begins with hesitation, with quiet disagreements, with support that evaporates when you need it most. Faithlessness is a slow poison. It distorts your judgment, creating blind spots where danger hides. The one who gossips to you will gossip about you. The one who hesitates to defend you already doubts you. The flatterer in public who undermines you in private is already planning their exit. Betrayal is a choice, not a mistake. And once chosen, it never fully disappears. Guard your kingdom fiercely. Burn bridges when betrayal is exposed. Remember, loyalty that must be begged for is not loyalty at all. The cage builder. They don't want your growth, they want your obedience. They crave control, not partnership. When you begin to think independently, they panic. Control freaks wrap their domination in concern. I only want what's best for you, they say. You're making a mistake. But these words are chains designed to keep you tethered to their will. Your independence is their nightmare. They isolate you, manipulate your trust, gaslight you when you resist. They measure their worth by your dependence, and when you step out of their control, they paint you as irrational, ungrateful, even disloyal. When control is challenged, they play the victim, twisting the narrative to regain their grip. Your freedom needs no explanation to those who thrived on your captivity. True power lives inside you. It's self-governance, not submission. Partial freedom is an illusion. To reclaim your throne, you must cut the strings completely and never look back. The pattern is clear. Not all enemies brandish weapons. Some wear smiles, some cloak themselves in kindness, some whisper words of love. But their true nature shows in how they drain you, confuse you, bend their loyalty with the wind. This world doesn't change because you hope it will. It changes when you understand it deeply and act decisively. The 5 toxic behaviors you've seen aren't mistakes. They're viruses, mind rewiring manipulation, emotional parasites, momentum poisoners, trust betrayers, and freedom cages. These are not people to fix or save. They are threats to eliminate swiftly, silently, without drama. Because confusion kills clarity and sabotage kills success. Surround yourself only with those who challenge your mind, respect your independence, and elevate your purpose. No emotional hostages. No silent enemies. No chains disguised as companionship. You weren't born to be controlled, doubted, or drained. You were born to build, conquer, and rise. This rise demands ruthless boundaries and fierce clarity. Let them call you cold. Let them call you harsh. It only means you're no longer predictable, no longer easy prey. So here is your final decree. Sever the puppeteers. Silence the victims. Exile the envious. Lock out the faithless. And break free from the cage builders. Reclaim your mind. Reclaim your power. Reclaim your throne. Let's be clear, these five forces don't just exist in other people. At some point in your life, you've likely mirrored them too. Not out of malice, but survival. We're all born into environments where control, manipulation, and fear become tools of necessity. But that doesn't mean they belong in your future. It means you must uproot them, not just in others, but in yourself. The only thing worse than being controlled by a puppet master is realizing you've been pulling strings in your own life without even knowing it. THEPUPPETMASTER. The puppet master operates in the shadows of your self-doubt. They're always helping, always just looking out for you. They wrap their grip around your spine so gently you start mistaking control for love. They're not screaming orders, they're whispering suggestions until your voice is no longer your own. They praise your talents while quietly directing where they should be used. They reward compliance with warmth and punish independence with drawl. But manipulation doesn't always come in the form of threats. Sometimes it comes with tears, with the sudden silence when you don't agree, with the subtle shifts that make you feel like you've done something wrong for choosing yourself. Manipulators study your emotional wiring like a hacker studying code. They don't break your defenses, they reprogram them. They replace your fire with guilt, your clarity with confusion, and your goals with their agenda. And the worst part, they often come dressed as those you love most: family, romantic partners, mentors, bosses. These aren't just villains from fiction, they are real. They are in offices, at dinner tables, and on the phone late at night asking you to change your plans, your priorities, your values. And because they cloak control as care, you rationalize their interference. You believe it's your duty to comply. That's the trick. They don't steal your power. You hand it to them in the name of harmony. But harmony with a manipulator is just submission with a prettier name. You don't owe anyone your obedience at the cost of your autonomy. Love without freedom is not love, it's bondage. And the price is your voice, your mission, your sanity. If someone's love requires you to shrink, to fold, to obey, that is not love. That is ownership. THEPERPETULVICT. Let's talk about the black hole of emotional gravity, the perpetual victim. At first, you feel compassion. They've been hurt, wronged, left behind. You relate. You empathize. You want to help. That's your strength, but it's also the bait. Because soon, their pain becomes your responsibility. Their trauma becomes your excuse to stay small, because how could you dare evolve while they're still broken? You'll notice something over time. Their wounds never close. Their heartbreak never heals. Their story never changes. No matter how many resources, opportunities, or second chances they receive, they always find a way to lose. Because it's not about growth. It's about narrative. They need to be oppressed to maintain power. Victimhood is seductive. It protects them from accountability, from effort, from failure, because if they're always the victim, nothing is ever their fault. And guess what? You become the villain the moment you stop catering to their narrative. The moment you set boundaries, they turn on you. You've changed, they say. And they're right, you've stopped carrying what isn't yours. Do not waste your fire trying to warm people who are addicted to the cold. There is a difference between a person in pain and a person who thrives in it. One seeks healing. The other seeks control, and they'll chain your compassion to their prison if you let them. You can love someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still cut ties. Your energy is not their inheritance. Your time is not their sanctuary. Your mission is not a sacrifice to their misery. TheSilentsabor. Envy doesn't announce itself. It doesn't burst through the door in green flames. It sits quietly in your circle, disguised as support, watching your every move. These are the people who clap for you in public and curse you in private, who smile at your success but grow colder each time you level up. You'll know them by the little comments, the must-be-nice remarks, the passive-aggressive jokes, the subtle comparisons masked as humor. They don't need to destroy you. They just need you to hesitate. Just enough to slow your momentum. Just enough to second-guess your next bold move. Because if they can't rise, they'll try to keep you from soaring. The silent saboteur isn't always malicious. Sometimes they're just too weak to handle your strength. Your ambition forces them to confront their own stagnation, and rather than do the inner work, they project resentment onto you. You become the target, not because you did anything wrong, but because you dared to grow beyond the role they cast you in. There will be people in your life who love the older version of you, the version that played small, that stayed available, that stayed silent. As you expand, their discomfort will grow. They'll call you arrogant, cold, distant, but what they're really saying is, you're no longer easy to control. Let them say it. Let them sulk. Let them leave. Their exit is a gift. Your success will always offend those who chose comfort over courage. TheFaithlashSHADOW. Loyalty is not proven when things are easy. It's tested in silence, in the storms, when no one's watching. The faithless shadow is the one who disappears when your name is under fire. When your vision hits resistance. They were loud when it served them, when your rise meant their ride. But the moment risk enters the room, they fade. You'll recognize them not by betrayal, but by absence. When you needed reassurance, they were neutral. When you needed protection, they were diplomatic. When enemies attacked, they stayed quiet to avoid drama. Understand this silence is a statement. Neutrality is a choice. And absence is betrayal in disguise. The faithless don't stab you in the front. They abandon you in moments that define you. And later, when you survive without them, they return pretending nothing happened. But trust, lost in fire, can never be reclaimed in calm. You cannot build empires with people who vanish when the foundation shakes. You need warriors, not watchers. Riders, not observers. Loyalty isn't a personality trait, it's a daily decision. Do not beg for it. Do not explain your standards. Let your boundary be the filter. Because the truth is simple, if they can't fight with you, they don't deserve to eat with you. THECAGEBUILDER. This is the one that hits closest to home because the cage builder doesn't scream, threaten, or even restrict you physically. They build cages out of words, out of doubt, out of carefully planted fears. You're not ready. You don't want to end up alone. You're being unrealistic. Their concern sounds wise, mature, protective. But under the surface, it's fear, not theirs. They fear your independence because it reminds them of their own imprisonment. They fear your boldness because it threatens the system that kept them safe. So they wrap chains in love. They clip your wings with warnings. And they keep you close, not to protect you, but to contain you. The cage builder isn't always an enemy. Sometimes they love you. But love tainted by control is still poison. And the most dangerous prison is the one you accept as home. The only way to escape the cage is to violate its design. You must disappoint people who expect your compliance. You must say no without guilt. You must outgrow the roles you were groomed to play: the nice one, the helper, the selfless servant. You were not born to be manageable. You were born to be untamed. Breakingthepee. Here's the final truth. All five of these forces, the manipulator, the victim, the saboteur, the faithless, and the controller, only thrive if you tolerate them. That's the root of it. You don't need to change them. You need to stop explaining yourself to them. You don't need to debate toxicity. You don't need to justify your peace. You don't need their approval to walk away. You need clarity, and you need clarity to recognize the damage, and courage to act without delay. These aren't just people. They are patterns. And patterns don't break themselves. You must interrupt them violently if necessary, because the longer you stay in their web, the more you forget who you were before the manipulation, before the guilt, before the cage.